He would get a tube placed and then he would throw it up because he was so nauseous from the chemotherapy. He was such an amazing sport about all of it too, but after like the fourth tube he had had enough. It was a low moment for him. Thin, sick, and desperate to feel better, he was getting so discouraged. The nurses, sensing his frustration, must have gone and told Laurel, because about 5 minutes afterwards, she came into the room all bubbly, asking him if he wanted to deck his room out. She gave him a $400 gift certificate to Target, which you can buy quite a lot for $400 from Target. And we spent the evening picking things out, laughing about our inferior design ability, and taking his mind off the situation. Laurel always seemed to be able to time when Tucker needed a boost most. I remember one time Tucker just didn't feel like coming out of his room, but the treat train had arrived and it was Nacho Day, his absolute favorite. Laurel came in, asked Tucker if he wanted something from the train, which we kind of sensed that he did, but he wasn't really feeling well and he didn't really want to get out of bed and walk down the hall to get it. So he politely declined. Laurel, not giving up, disappears and returns a minute later with Heather giggling as they came wheeling in the not-so-small treat train into his room. It was gigantic. I don't even know how they fit it through the door. It was quite the sight, and Tucker couldn't stop laughing. Perhaps one of the more special things the Child Life Department organizes for the patients are the celebrity visitors. Who knew you could meet so many celebrities in a hospital room, especially over 6 months? We met quite a few. Over our 6 months, we had the privilege to meet Chris Rock, Kevin James, multiple players from the New England Patriots, and Wally the Red Sox mascot. But two of his favorite visitors were from singers Gavin DeGraw and Chris Martin from Coldplay. That was the ultimate experience for Tucker because Tucker loved music. He often would serenade the nurses and staff on 6 North. He was our own little piano man, and he loved to entertain everyone with his songs. He didn't care if they were a 300-pound football player or one of the best musicians in the world. Tucker would happily belt it all out for all of them to hear, and they all loved it. I'll never forget Chris Martin from Coldplay teaching Tucker how to hit one of the notes on his song Clocks. Tucker had been trying to learn the song for a while, even before we had gotten to the hospital, but he kept getting stuck on one part. When he mentioned this to Chris happily jumped on the piano and showed him and said, "You have to do this in E flat, this part. Check this out." And just like that, Tucker was like, "Oh, there you go." It was a surreal moment and the highlight of the month for all of us. From setting up tutors for Tucker's junior year and senior year of high school to providing every aspect of fun, Laurel, our child life specialist, always had an open invite to the room. Some days when Tucker had had enough of the doctors and nurses and volunteers visiting, I would sit by the door to manage the steady stream of visitors. Laurel was perhaps the only person in the hospital that always was welcome to our room. She was our own little VIP. She would pop her head in and we'd be like, "Oh, Laurel, what do you have for us today?" Because it was always something fun. She was a welcome sight amongst the onslaught of residents, doctors, chemotherapy, blood pressure checks, fever checks, and probably the only one who came in and didn't say, "Can I have a listen?" And oh, did we make that girl work for us. Laurel became somewhat of a concierge personal assistant to both Tucker and I over our 6-month stay. If we needed balloons for something, she was always our girl. Tucker was a mischievous little patient, always playing pranks on the nurses and doctors, so if we needed any supplies for those times, Laurel was on it. She kept a crummy situation fun. Despite all of my efforts to the contrary, Tucker was a Yankees fan. He didn't dislike the Red Sox, but he liked the Yankees a little bit more. He would often tease the nurses who were the diehard Red Sox fans and play practical jokes on them. One day, he asked Laurel if she could get him some Yankee balloons for a joke he was playing on one of the nurses. I kind of cringed and was like, "Tucker, I don't think they do that here." And I don't even know if they can find Yankees balloons in Boston. But Laurel, willing to bring fruition to anything that Tucker wanted, didn't disappoint. About an hour later, in she walks with the biggest bunch of Yankees balloon I'd ever seen. I think she needed a security guard to get through the hospital, and I think she might have gone dumpster diving to get those balloons, but nonetheless, there she was, and Tucker was beaming. Child Life isn't just there for the patient, but for the whole family. On holidays, it would help the patients shop for gifts for their family members. Tucker was a huge present giver, and it was killing him that he would be in the hospital over any holiday. Whether it was Mother's Day, Father's Day, Easter, or one of our birthdays, Laurel always came to the rescue with a catalog of things that Tucker could pick from. He was always so proud of the gifts he gave and so proud to show us how resourceful he could be while battling cancer from a hospital bed. The gift he was probably the proudest about was for my birthday. He scored me 2 tickets to the Coldplay concert from Chris Martin personally. He was beaming for days over the best present ever that he gave to his mom. And looking back on it, that was the best present that Chris Martin could have ever given to him because it made him so happy. Chris even went on to proudly wearing Tucker's Luck to Tuck wristbands that night at his concert. It was quite an emotional sight for my husband and I to see Chris come out for his opening act with the packed pavilion cheering wildly for him. And lo and behold, up on the big screen for all to see was a view of Chris's left wrist with the words "Hammer Down" and "Luck to Tuck." Child life was essential for my other 4 children when they would come to visit as well. And as a mother, I was always so appreciative of that. They made what could have been a sad, scary place to be a place where my kids loved to come and see their brother. Sometimes their visits would be a bit exhausting for Tucker, so having wonderful distractions there for them was so helpful. It also provided my husband and I that rare chance to spend time with all 5 of our kids in one place. My 8-year-old daughter loved the craft room, and the volunteers there were always so eager to help give us exhausted parents a little reprieve. There she became friends with another 8-year-old girl, Hannah, who was battling the same thing that her brother Tucker was. Hannah is perhaps best known on 6 North for her love of arts and crafts and creativity. One time, Hannah decided to open up a nail salon in her hospital room and offer Hannah cures. Child Life got her the necessary supplies, gave her some business ideas, and encouraged her to take reservations. Soon enough, she had a long list of customers, including every Child Life specialist, nurses, patients, and a daring resident or 2. Tucker couldn't leave the hospital because of germs, but the hospital was always happy to give us Red Sox tickets to use for our other 3 boys, who were fans of the Red Sox, by the way, when they were up visiting. I never once felt like our family or Tucker wasn't supported emotionally during his hospital stay. There was a little boy about 1.5 that had been on 6 North for about 7 months, and it was his time to finally go home. The Child Life specialist organized all the nurses and patients to give this little guy a bubble parade as he left. It was really adorable. Tucker would talk to Laurel at great lengths on numerous occasions, planning his own departure party. He was adamant he did not want a bubble party, because although adorable for a 1-year-old, it was not something cute for a 17-year-old. Laurel, in all of her cuteness, suggested that perhaps he could have an edgy bubble party. He wasn't buying it. Bubbles were out. She told Tucker not to worry. I have something up my sleeve for the day you walk out of the hospital, and you will love it. And I had 100% confidence that he would have. I'd like to report that Tucker beat leukemia, got his edgy bubble party, and is happily home recovering, starting his senior year of high school, getting ready to start his swim season, and preparing for the holidays. But unfortunately, I can't. He beat leukemia on June 6, 2012, and was cancer-free. But on October 9th, exactly 6.5 months after his initial diagnosis, Tucker died of complications from sepsis and C. diff from the additional rounds of chemotherapy he needed to keep the cancer away. It is perhaps something I will never wrap my head around and will always be wondering what if. But what I can do is be here tonight and tell you our story, let you in on a glimpse of a day in the life of a seriously ill patient at Boston's Children's Hospital, and how the Child Life Development Department strives to make a difference in these kids' lives. I can never thank the Child Life specialist nurses enough for all the smiles they put on my son's face as he fought this long battle. The entire staff at the hospital is truly a special group of people working magic in more ways than just medicine. They improve the quality of life for their patients, and they take their minds off their situations. There is no price that you can ever put on something like that. We are here because this is a benefit for something we believe in, and it has made a tremendous difference in our lives. If you have ever donated money and wondered how valuable the donation is and where it goes and how it is used, you have an opportunity tonight to be guaranteed satisfaction. And there are very few guarantees in this life, as Tucker can tell you. My husband Truxton and I would like to say thank you to the Child Life Development Department at Boston Children's Hospital, Counselor Lenahan for being here tonight, John Lydon, Kevin Scott, Terry McSweeney, and Ann Chalkowski for organizing this event. Also, thank you to all of you guys for being here to support this benefit so that other children like Tucker and families like ours can continue to stay positive and have hope when faced with their own heartbreaking circumstances. Thank you so much.